guys, my name is Iasmina and welcome back to my channel. Today I really wanted to do something fun and so I decided to film the bookshelf scavenger hunt challenge / tag. So this is where you get a list of different topics and you have to find a book that matches that topic on your shelf. So I'm hoping this will be really fun to film and hopefully fun for you guys to watch as well. So let's just get started. So the first on the list is find an author's name or title with the letter Z on it. So author or title. Okay, well title I think is easier. Let's try to see if I can find an author first. So for that I have The Book Thief by Mark Zuzak. Starts with a Z. This is a historical fiction novel set during the Second World War and it's definitely one of my favorite books. Okay, the second challenge is to find a classic. I actually don't have that many classics on my shelf, even though I have read a lot of classics. That is because when I moved, I had to get rid of a lot of my books, and a lot of the classics I had were in these really cheap editions. So I decided to give those away and then eventually to invest in some really nice editions of classics. So I actually don't have that many, but one of the first I see is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I guess that would also have been good for the first challenge with a name with a Z. But yeah, The Great Gatsby, I've read this. I wasn't the biggest fan, but it is a lot of people's favorite classic, so I might give it another try at some point. I have seen the movie and I did enjoy the movie. I might give it a shot in the future, which is why I kept it. Okay, the third challenge is to find a book with a key on it. What could have a key? These have keys on them. Aha! I thought I might not be able to find one, but actually this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 keys on it. And this is The Magician King by Lev Grossman. So I don't know how well you can see it, but in the cover, a lot of keys hanging from the tree. I've talked about the series before in my favorite fantasy books, but if you haven't read The Magicians and you like some fantasy, the sticker here sums it up quite nicely, I think. It says Harry Potter for grown-ups. I don't think you have to be a child to enjoy Harry Potter, but if you like Harry Potter, you're probably gonna like The Magicians. The next challenge is to find something on your bookshelf that's not a book. Well, actually, I have a lot of that. Maybe I'll just talk about this thing here first. This is a little figure of Mike and Eleven from Stranger Things that I got in this like special edition Stranger Things Loot Crate box, and I think it's quite cute, and they're just hanging here on my bookshelf. But on the same vein, I also have this drawing from Stranger Things from the same loot box that I usually keep in here, and as you can see, this is my Harry Potter shelf, top shelf, and so I have a lot of stuff. I have a wand. This is Nymphadora's wand. I have the Time Turner. I have the Golden Snitch. It's full of dust, but it's the snitch. I have this print here with a quote from Harry Potter that says, "Happiness can be found even in the darkness of times if one only remembers to turn on the light." And I have another Stranger Things figurine. This one is with Eleven and the Demogorgon. Okay, the next challenge is to find the oldest book on your shelf. Ooh, okay. This might be a bit tricky because I like to keep my books in really good condition, and so you can't really tell necessarily from the book itself if it's old or not. I've also gotten rid of a lot of my books. So basically, just like a short explanation, I keep all of the books that I loved and I know I will reread, or books that I know are good for sort of research purposes that I know I'll go back to try to find something. Obviously, if they're writing craft books, then I'll go back to them. But even if they're like YA contemporary books that I didn't necessarily love, but I would like to go back to them and for kind of research purposes, because I write a lot of YA contemporary. Over the years, I got rid of a lot of my books, especially since I moved from one apartment to the other. Of course, books are heavy, and so if I knew that I wasn't necessarily going to reread them, I would get rid of them. So, you know, this bookshelf is not like a representation of everything I've read, not even close. It's just a current representation of stuff I really like, and the most recent books I bought. So, after that ramble, the oldest book that I have on this shelf, I think it's The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. I don't know if you can also tell by the pages. They're quite yellow. It might be the oldest that I currently have on my shelf. I assume this is what the question meant, as in like physical book that is the oldest, not like the oldest book ever written that you have on your shelf. Okay, next is find a book with a girl on the cover. That shouldn't be too hard. I read a lot of YA as well, so YA has a lot of girls on covers. I'm just going to pick up one of the first that I see, and that is Wind Witch by Susan Dennard. She is a girl. She's cloaked, so you can't really tell that well, but I promise you, it is a girl. This is the second book to the Truth Witch series by Susan Dennard, and it's a really good YA fantasy, so I would recommend this. Find a book that has an animal in it. So by that I understand in the story, not necessarily on the cover. That's also a lot of them. I'm just gonna choose one that has a significant animal in the story, so sort of an animal character that is very significant to the story, and for that I'm going to choose Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb, and as you can see, it also has the animal on the cover as well, but this is Night Eyes, and if you've read the series, you will know the importance of the character. If you haven't, again, I would highly recommend the series. The first book is Assassin's Apprentice, but Night Eyes is a very important character, an animal, in this story. Next is find a book with a male protagonist. Again, I have so many of those, I don't even know which one to choose. I'm gonna go with a contemporary one this time, and this is Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. And if you don't know the story of this, we follow Simon, who is not so openly gay, and he exchanges romantic sort of emails with this other character called Blue, who he starts falling in love with. And one day someone from his school sees those emails, and they try to blackmail Simon, saying that they will reveal to the whole school that he is in fact gay if he doesn't do what they ask. It's a fantastic book, it's super funny. The movie of it has just came out, so I would highly recommend this. Next is find a book with only words on it. I think this counts. So this is The Emotion Thesaurus, a writer's guide to character expression by Angela Ackerman and Becca Puglisi. This is a super good writer's reference tool. If you're a writer and you haven't picked this up, do. The next is find a book with illustrations in it. That also should be easy because I have a lot of those. Manga has to count, right? Because this is basically just illustrations. I think this is a great gateway to manga, so if you want to get into manga and you don't know where to start and you're looking for something a little light, funny, sort of slice of life kind of thing, but with a bit of a magical realism element to it, and I definitely recommend Orange. There's 2 volumes. This is volume 1. And it's also nice because it's also short, so you can finish the series really quickly. Find a book with gold lettering. Let's see. This is gold. This has to be gold. This is Mort, a Discworld novel by Terry Pratchett, and I don't know how well you can see, but the lettering on Terry Pratchett's name is gold. This is the only Discworld novel I've read so far. It's a huge series, and I definitely want to read more. It was very funny. It didn't completely blow me away, but it was very silly and witty and cute. So I definitely want to try more Discworld novels. The next challenge is to find a diary, true or fictional. Now I don't have any of my own diaries because I don't have a diary, and fictional ones, can't think of anything on my shelf that is really a diary. So the closest I have, I think, is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. It's not really a diary per se, it's kind of the character writing letters, but the letters themselves are sort of in diary form. So I think I'm gonna go with this one. Fantastic YA contemporary if you haven't read it. Find a book written by someone with a common name, like Smith. I don't have a Smith, but I have a Green, and that is of course John Green, and this is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This is John Green's latest book, and I highly enjoyed it. I would have liked the plot of this to be more developed than it was. It started on a really exciting note and then kind of never delivered on the plot element. There's a good reason behind it. If you've read it, you know what I mean. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I just kind of wanted a little bit more from the plot. But I adore John Green. I love his writing, and I devoured this in a day or 2, I think, and it was definitely very enjoyable. So, John Green, fantastic author, fantastic YouTuber, I guess common name. Next is to find a book that has a close-up of something on it. So I guess this could also be a face or an object. I'm gonna go with the close-up of a face, and this is The Unseen World by Liz Moore. I haven't actually read this, but I'm really excited to because I've heard fantastic things about it. But it's supposed to be a literary fiction. I'm not entirely sure, but I have heard really great things about it, so if you have read it, let me know what you thought of it. Find a book on your shelf that takes place in the earliest time period. Ooh, okay. I'm gonna exclude fantasy from this, because obviously a lot of those are sort of inspired by medieval European time period, but I'm gonna go with something more concrete, and that is The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. And this is set in the year 1686 in the Netherlands. I haven't read this yet, but I really want to, because the time period is actually one of the things that made me intrigued by this book. So I really want to get to it. This is about this miniature house that someone gets sent as a present, and the things in the miniature house sort of start happening in the real life, which sounds very intriguing. Find a hardcover book without a jacket. I have one here. This is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, and there's a little bit of a story behind this because The Name of the Wind recently celebrated its 10th anniversary, and they came out with this gorgeous illustrated 10th anniversary edition. And I wanted that, but I wanted the English, so the British version of it. And on Book Depository, where I usually buy my books, there was the American one, the big American hardback with the red edging on the paper. I'll insert a picture here so you can tell what it looks like. So I think that's really pretty, but in general I don't like the American hardbacks because they're very big, and I prefer British editions because they tend to be much smaller and take up less space. And this book was listed on Book Depository as the 10th anniversary illustrated edition, so I thought, okay, maybe the cover isn't as pretty, but the inside will still have the illustrations, which was the reason I wanted to repurchase a copy of that book, because I already have The Name of the Wind, the original edition, but I really wanted the illustrations, and so I thought, you know, this would be the illustrated edition. Well, it's not. It's just the original edition in a different cover and in hardback. And I wrote a complaint when I received this to Book Depository, and they refunded my money, and they changed the listing on the website to not include the fact that it's the 10th anniversary illustrated edition. But I'm still left with this, and I kind of still want the proper illustrated one. But now I'm not sure if I still want to spend the money on it, so until then I have this. But as you can see, there's no dust jacket on it. And I actually really like the feel of these dust jacket-less hardbacks. Find a teal/turquoise colored book. Is this more of a teal? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know how well this picks up on camera, but it's more green than I think it looks on camera. It looks more bluish on camera. But this is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, and it's a very sweet YA contemporary about this girl who is really into fanfiction, very inspired by Harry Potter and Harry Potter fanfiction. And she goes to her first year of college, and she's still very much into writing fanfiction and into this world, and it's very cute and very fun, very funny book. Okay, 2 more left. First, find a book with stars on it. I have 2 actually. First one is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, and this one has more illustrated version of stars on the cover. I don't know if you can see. This is a fantastic fantasy novel. It also has some stars on the back. But I also have A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, which has a more realistic version of stars and, you know, nebula and stuff. Fantastic sci-fi space opera, if you're looking for something like that. And the very last challenge is to find a non-YA book. As if this is a challenge. I mean, I read a lot of YA, but I read, I think, a lot more non-YA. So, I mean, literally anything from this pile. I'm gonna go with some historical fiction again, and this is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr, and this is another novel set in the Second World War, and it's about this, and it's set in 2 perspectives. The first is the perspective of a blind little girl, and the second perspective is of a soldier, as far as I remember. I've read this a long time ago, but I adored it. It's definitely one of the best books I've ever read, and if you like historical fiction, this is a fantastic one to try. But yeah, those were all the challenges in the bookshelf scavenger hunt. I hope this was interesting to you. I hope you can get a better sense of what's on my shelf, and I hope that it also gave you some recommendations of books you might like to try. I thought it was very fun to try and find all the books that might match. But yeah, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to subscribe and give a like, and I will see you next Monday. Bye guys! I don't know what that was.